Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Pony 411. This is episode 89 for the week of February 1st. Yeah, so got another episode. We're going to talk about some fanon and headcanon and such later on. We've also got a discussion on a comic and some fan content.
Yes.
So yeah, I am Alca7raz, and with me, like usual, is Nemesis.
I'm worried about how things are going to go today.
I'm a little bit worried too.
Football-wise.
We're recording as the Super Bowl is starting, so
Yes.
let's hope it all goes well. Go Hawks.
Eh.
Anyway, let's get into the news first, because we've got a fair amount of that. If you'd like to follow along, you can find all of our show notes at pony411.libsyn.com/show notes. You go there and click on the link for this episode and follow along. So let's get started. In convention news, Ponyville FM will be teaming up with Midwest Brony Fest for recording stuff and all that good things. They are also offering a limited edition Aerial Soundwaves figure with pre-reg promo code PVFM10.
It's going to be neat.
Yes, it's going to be neat. So support our benefactors. Yes. Moving on, Brian and Brianna Drummond will be attending TrotCon. So if you're looking forward to seeing them, there you go. Tony Fleeks will be, once again, attending BronyCon.
Yes.
Natasha Levenger will be attending BabsCon.
Yeah, a lot of
people going
announcements.
places. Yes. Speaking of BabsCon, they've also announced their first wave of musicians that will be performing. It's a pretty big list, so I'm not going to repeat it here. But you can click on the link in the show notes that you should be following and get the whole list there. GalaCon has announced that tickets are now on sale, and Daniel Ingram himself will be in attendance once more. I believe he's done this before at GalaCon. I want to say
so.
he has. So
I don't remember. It's been a while.
yeah.
It's been a whole year, actually.
Yes. Fancy how that works. And last bit of convention news, musician and community guest applications for Everfree Northwest are now opened. So get on that.
Yeah.
Moving on to some fandom and other news, Google dropped a neat little pony reference in its X Prize video.
Very short.
Very short.
Very quick.
Yeah, X Prize thing is for going back to the moon. And the little image, they dropped a little Nightmare Moon thing onto it. So that was a neat little call out. Yep. The Overmare Studios released an article explaining how addiction and all the rest of the drugs are handled in their upcoming Fallout Equestria game. So it's actually a really interesting read.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Remember Fallout.
Yep.
It's those things.
Yep. Addiction and withdrawals and all that sort of stuff and how they work. A video for the Adventure of the Lunar Bolts RPG is out, and it shows about 33 minutes of gameplay. So, wondering what the current progress is on that, there you go. Lauren Faust's WLC fundraiser has reached its goal.
Already.
Already. Yep, in a week. So. Great job, guys.
Keep going.
Yes. Let's head right on past it and keep going. The Nisi, AJ, and Rarity plushies, including keychain ones, have appeared on Taobao. Amazon might have listings for Wave 13 and 14 of the blind bags. Maybe. Not entirely certain. It looks like that's how it's lining up because of how they called them. So that's what we're assuming for now, but nothing's yet confirmed. Images for the Canterlot Castle playset and Glamour Glow Princess Cadence have appeared.
Yes, more from, both of those appeared at the London Toy Fair, now the German Toy Fair thing.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it's called, but it's something, it's in German.
Yeah. And slightly connected to that, images of the MLP app codes that we talked about, I believe, last week, have also appeared. One of them happens to be on that Glamour Glow Princess Cadence.
Yeah, they're like tampographed on.
Yep, it's a little heart with a heart in it, and then the actual dots around the outside.
Yeah, which is interesting because the Transformer ones are stickers.
Yeah,
so
these are actually painted on. So.
Yeah.
It's been interesting.
Probably if you're patient and you can get removed with a bit of, I think, nail polish remover or something.
Or nail polish, yeah.
Just sit there rubbing on it.
Would be very, very careful with an X-Acto knife.
Yeah, I guess.
Scrape it off. Anyway, signage for the Build-A-Bear Luna and Cadence has started to appear, so we might be seeing the plushies sooner than expected. Last of the merchandise, PlayStation Network has a bunch of pony avatars available.
Yeah, following the lead of Xbox Live, although these also work on both without looking really tiny on the Xbox One or something like that.
They have, if I remember correctly, it has them listed on the site as only PS3. Which is interesting. Yeah.
Weird.
Bit interesting, but yeah. So.
I guess I checked the avatars carried over, but I don't know.
But that's what...
my avatar carried over.
Yeah. It might carry over. I haven't actually checked that much, but yep, they're there. In comic news, the retail incentive cover for comic issue 28 has shown up. It's cake.
Main 6 cake.
So, main 6 cake. And Series 3 of the Micro comics will be hitting stores on the 11th of this month.
Remember, the little tiny ones with
itty bitty little ones.
Trading cards and stuff.
We reviewed the first series.
Yeah.
So. In Equestria Girls news, Equestria Girls 3 has, yet again, been confirmed, this time by an Australian media distributor.
They just will not, refuse to officially announce it for whatever reason.
So it's like little leaks here and there.
Because it doesn't line up with their official little timeline. They always have a timeline for this marketing stuff, and everyone just keeps ruining it.
Has anyone ever successfully stuck to their timeline?
Well, in a sense, in that they don't admit to anything until...
Well, has any... No, I don't think there's ever been a case where something that's relatively large size hasn't been leaked early.
I'm trying to think of something. There's a couple things.
I vaguely remember every now and then, but most of the time,
it's very
they
rare.
never do. Rainbow Rocks is now on Netflix UK. So I've been waiting for it to show up over there. Now is your chance. Speaking of Netflix, the end date for Ponies on Netflix has been pushed back. It had been, tomorrow, the 2nd, and now it's pushed back to the 17th. So possibly negotiations are starting to work. We shall see.
We'll find out.
So yeah.
Hey guys, Nemesis interjecting here. Yeah, we watched the Super Bowl, and yeah, we saw the 2 seconds of Ponies, and yes, it was pretty nice seeing the fallout from that and all that jazz. Wasn't so neat watching the Seahawks literally throw the game away, though. But anyway, back to our regularly scheduled podcast.
That's the news. So yeah, we're going to talk about fanon and headcanon stuff. Just in general.
Yeah, we've done that before, I was part of that discussion way back when, right before we took a long, long break.
the hiatus of our own.
And I'll be honest, that was a topic that we kind of just threw in right at the last second because we were just scrambling, which, hey, wait a minute. But
yeah, we're not.
This one has a little more foresight.
Totally not doing that.
This is a little more foresight. That was literally an hour before. Hey, let's talk about fanon.
Yeah. So yeah. There's quite a lot of fanon out there. So, what are some of the big ones out there?
Well, I'm trying to think. One of the biggest ones has always been Lyra and Bon.
Oh, yeah.
Always.
The shipping. There's always been...
Which is weird, because I remember hearing... I keep seeing this pop up, but someone keeps saying someone officially confirmed that the scene in Rainbow Rocks was not supposed to be romantic. Someone actually came out and said that.
I vaguely remember someone saying that.
It, though.
And then I saw the responses, yes, because 2 totally non-romantic people will rub their eyeballs together.
It's one of those things that if it was officially talked about, which I don't remember, I haven't seen him actually link to it. It's just one of those. It sounds like one of those things where it's like, oh, internet telephone was played. But anyway, it almost sounds like they said that because they don't want to,
Yeah, I see a lot of that. People come up with weird reasons just so they don't have to accept something.
But anyway, it's the whole official word. But anyway, yeah, that's been a long time held fanon thing of the 2 of them together. It doesn't help that, they have been kind of winking at us with it a lot.
They haven't.
Which doesn't help the case of the official word says they're just friends.
Mm-hmm.
It really, especially I have yet to see an actual link to it. So if someone actually has a link, please show me.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. I just see someone saying there's been official word.
Yes, my best friend's father's
Uncle works at Nintendo.
Says that this happened.
My uncle works at Nintendo, I swear. It's true.
Yes,
he says
did you know you can push that truck by the SS Anne? Mm-hmm. You just have to use strength on it. Yes. It's one of those kind of stories, isn't it? Yeah. So yes, send us a link, or that's what we're forced to assume.
I haven't seen it at all.
Yeah, well, what do you think about that, personally? I mean,
the shipping?
The shipping.
At this point, it's I'm on board with it. I was like... It's not really a big deal because they're background characters, but it's it works. I mean, it's obvious, you guys, it's so, there now. It's you can easily work it into an actual, they're a thing.
Yeah.
Of course, at this point, it's still you can kind of sort of ignore it, but...
Yeah, it's not...
But it's just so overwhelming, you very rarely see them paired with anyone else.
Yeah, with the amount of winks they've given us, it works really. Unlike an equivalent one, the... Vinyl and
that one's
and
that's
Octavia.
A common fanon that doesn't have really any support.
Yeah, very big in fanon, but has no winks at all from show itself.
The first time we've actually seen them together was in Rainbow Rocks. Again, there we go.
Yeah.
Rainbow Rocks.
Rainbow Rocks.
The first time we've even seen them in the same scene, let alone the same episode or anything, was in Rainbow Rocks.
Yeah, so that's an interesting one.
Interesting in that, yeah, it just kind of popped because they're both musicians.
They're both musicians, and the whole opposites attract.
Like, sort of, because again, we don't even have any personality for them. But that's another thing, the personalities. We got Lyra's like just supposed to be human obsessed and a little eccentric, and Bonbon's supposed to be kind of deadpan and a bit grumpy. And we don't. Bonbon's the only one who's really got a. But then again, she's had 3 different voices, so
yeah.
That doesn't help things.
Yeah, and then there's that one. What is it? The candy because Bonbon's a cutie mark. Does she make candy? Or maybe it's voice changing candy.
I believe that's kind of been alluded to on the official stuff, but
yeah, but that's one fanon thing I see a lot. It's voice changing candy. That explains everything. Yeah.
But another thing was Lyra and Vinyl and Octavia. It's just they don't really have canon personalities per se. Although Vinyl, we've started to get a little bit more as of Rainbow Rocks. It seems to be she's a little more. She kind of doesn't exactly.
Almost.
She's kind of a little wild, but not like.
Yeah, she's
willing
not
to break
in
the rules.
Yeah, she's not in everyone's face about it.
Yeah,
it's just kind of. She dances to the beat of her own drum.
Yeah, it's also another thing is just basically. This kind of. What was I thinking of? Oh, the whole mute thing. It's like she never spoke in Rainbow Rock, so it's like some people are now thinking, is she mute? That's the thing. It's kind of. Although some people she doesn't talk a lot. Others are like, she might actually just not be able to talk.
It would be interesting if she was a mute. That's almost like Beethoven going deaf.
Yeah, and then Octavia, well, this is a fanon that was kind of wrecked, which was a lot of people assumed she was British.
Oh,
and when she spoke in Rainbow Rocks, that was distinctly not a British accent.
Yeah,
so
some people saying it was, but whatever.
So that's a fanon that's kind of been wrecked, I guess. Well, she's definitely not British. She's probably still pretty proper based off.
Everything else.
You can infer that just from the fact she's wearing a bow tie. And
she's wearing a bow tie. She plays in a Canterlot orchestra.
Yeah, you could guess she's a Canterlot-ish type. We don't know if she's snobby or not, because again, we don't
really know enough about her.
So, band fandom has built these massive personalities for all 4 of those characters just from scratch.
I think it's personally a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, it's cool, but it's also risks the whole screaming when they're contradicted, because we've seen that before. There's someone screaming at show people or comic people even. Yeah, because you how dare you break my headcanon? Yeah, clearly you are wrong. Guys. Have you read my fanfics?
Oh God, that's actually happened.
Yes,
that has actually happened. That is just appalling.
You're wrong because it contradicts my fanfic.
I'm sorry, who owns the licenses here?
Yeah.
Who owns these characters? But yeah, personally, I actually like the idea of her being a bit more proper.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's just obviously she's not British.
Obviously. Well,
unless she's worked on her accent.
She's Canterlot.
Yeah, but a lot of people just assume she has a British accent. But it'd be funny if she's the reason she doesn't have an accent anymore, because she kind of worked on it.
Maybe she started that, but living in Canterlot. Because if you look back at the Canterlot stuff, they don't talk in British accents.
They do the Harvard Lockjaw. I've heard that's what it's called. If you remember, like Jet Setter and Upper Crust.
Yeah,
it's the Harvard Lockjaw. That's what it's called in the voice acting world, because it's basically you have to have a lockjaw to actually be able to talk like that.
Yeah, but it's not British. Yeah. So Octavia comes from Canterlot. She's gonna probably have something closer to that.
Although we have heard the voice and didn't really have an accent really at all.
It's also Rainbow Rocks. She's also a high schooler.
Yeah, okay.
So it's a little bit different.
Not necessarily. Just
maybe.
It's likely she'd have the same voice though. If she ever gets voiced again, it's probably going to be the same voice actress and all that.
I would assume so.
I remember this one. This one's the one that comes up. Everyone's Fluttershy. One of her parents being an Earth Pony. That's I don't know. I remember that once. That was very common for. I'm not sure if it still is, but
I haven't seen it a lot.
I've seen a lot. I've seen it I've seen that it was very early on. It's not so common anymore, but very early on, it was very common. It was that some people assumed that one of Fluttershy's parents was an Earth Pony, which is part of the reason why she's so comfortable near the ground and why she's so good with animals.
And why she's not that good at flying.
Exactly. It's just that sort of thing. It's like she kind of got Earth Pony genes and muddled things up.
Yeah, or something. That would make sense. It would be interesting because. Yeah, and we have to use fan because we've seen absolutely nothing about her parents.
Nothing. And they tease that in the Equestria Girls Holiday Special. It's like...
Yeah.
They just kind of poked at that.
We haven't seen any of the Pegasi parents, really. Except for a couple minor exceptions
probably
here.
Dad.
Probably, yeah.
Likely dad.
Likely. I would assume that's her dad.
Yeah, most people just want that's.
Which, we have a semi-canon name, Rainbow Blaze, I think. It's on the trading card game. Gave him a name.
Of course, we've seen those been wrong before. Because,
yes.
For example...
That's why I say sort of official.
Like, for example, again, Bon Bon, that was the fan-given name. She was never officially named until she got Sweetie Drops. But in the Game Loft game, she was referred to as Bon Bon because they didn't have anything except that.
Yeah.
And now she's just Sweetie Drops because of just trademark nonsense.
They can't actually call her Bon Bon, or that company might get a little upset.
Yep.
But yeah. So...
Lyra was called Heartstrings initially, but then they renamed it to Lyra Heartstrings.
They added Lyra in afterwards.
Octavia was just named No Problem.
Yeah, they adopted Octavia and then added Melody.
Yeah, because for a long time...
Octavia Melody.
I remember a long time it was people were calling her Octavia Philharmonica.
Yeah.
That was a thing. Final is the weird one in that that's officially, but she's more often referred to as DJ Pony.
Yeah, she has
easier
two.
To trademark.
Yeah.
So that's another one of those.
I've seen the vinyl scratch used.
Yeah, it's been
officially,
used,
though.
but
they
favored DJ Pone 3 because...
No, they did use DJ Pone 3 before vinyl scratch.
They favored that one just because it's easier to trademark.
Yeah, it is a lot easier. That was cool, though.
Oh, that reminds me of another thing about it. Remember for a long time everyone's like insisting her eyes are red?
Oh, yeah. It was a big fanon thing, and then they explicitly...
And then showed it in Candlelight Wedding. And
then some people still denied that.
Yeah, because
it was just low quality.
It's nighttime.
And
then someone just showed that, like, okay, here's the
show staff
filter.
Actually, show staff came out and confirmed it.
Yeah, but even before that, it was like someone was like, this is okay, I'll see night thing, and then kind of adjust based off the other ponies' colors we know the colors of, and oh look, there's still that purplish color.
And then they were confirmed. I can't remember what the username of that show staff is that's commonly confirming stuff. On that one forum. Nayuzuki or something like that.
Yeah, the Allspark forum, was it?
I think so. I think that's what it is. Came and said, same as rainbows.
Yep.
That's the eye color. So it's like, yep, there we go.
Bam. They're
Fanon
not
ruined.
red, baby.
Although I do like the idea of the red. I think it contrasts really well with the blue.
But now there's that fan comic out there with her being a vampire or something. And the red eyes and
that's Draw Ponies. Yeah. Adapting to Night.
Yeah, that one. So
yeah, Adapting to the Night comic. She's a good comic, by the way.
Yeah.
Octavia just put her in the hospital by feeding her garlic.
Yeah, well, it makes sense.
Yeah.
If you know what the comic's about, it makes perfect sense. It's obvious that garlic hospital.
Garlic vampire.
Adapting to the night.
Yes.
Yeah.
But talking about Octavia, that reminds me of there's a minor fanon. Fiddlesticks.
Yeah, the
Apple
Octavia recolor.
Octavia recolor in the Apple family. It's like,
Yep.
And some people have used that as fanon for Octavia is partially related to the Apple family.
Yeah, then I remember that reminds me that some people thought that for a while Octavia might be Pinky's sister, although that got shut down pretty fast.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, colors don't match.
Mm-hmm.
So, although some people still do it.
Yeah.
But they're still, I guess, related, if Octavia is part of the Apple family.
Yeah, so it's a bit interesting. But yeah, that would be definitely neat to give her some backstory. Have her, maybe a cousin, as like a second cousin or something like that. Some other split off.
Oh man, there's also been loads of fanon regarding alicorns in general. Boy. Just loads.
How do they?
Rises up, gets struck down, new one comes up.
Yeah.
You got they're immortal, they're not immortal, there's long lived. There was
some of them are immortal, some of them aren't.
Yeah, there's Celestia and Luna are true alicorns, like Cadence and Twilight are not. That sort of thing. And you got this weird split. You got, Twilight live forever, Cadence live forever. Is there something else that's caused them to live for long that's not alicorn related? And then they've muddied the issue further because
with the books that come out.
Yeah, the GM Burrow book.
Luna and Celestia were born alicorns, but Cadence
in Twilight were not.
So it's like, okay, now you've just given us two separate kinds of alicorns here, but are they actually different?
Yeah, and then there's the whole. It's just lots of weirdness going on here, and then it's why do Celestia and Luna's manes get all wavy, and that was kind of something to do with because of the celestial bodies they control.
Yeah.
which is another thing. But then we saw Twilight and her ways. I don't know. And why does Cadence not have a baby mane? And
Yeah, I don't know. You might be able to say because how they explained the difference in Luna between season 1 and season 2.
yeah,
The
the power.
quote unquote official explanation was that she was still weak
Yep.
and she had to regain her power. So maybe that's why Cadence and Twilight don't, is because, well, since they're not born alicorns, they don't have the same level
Yeah.
of power. And Twilight got hers when she absorbed all of that, but then lost it again when she gave it back
I don't
up.
know, but
Or maybe it just takes time, a couple thousand years in order to build that.
I
kind
remember
of power.
one crazy one was that it's not been the same Celestia all this time. I remember seeing that one pop up.
That's a weird one.
There's a new Celestia every 100 years or so. It's to take the mantle up. And I remember there's a fanfic actually built around this idea that Celestia was grooming Twilight to replace her. Like literally, apparently its magic was tied in this fanfic. The magic was tied to the crown and stuff. The regalia, all that was like it would make her look like Celestia, which was
Speaking of that, reminds me of another one. There was a fanfic I read. One of the things, they don't die. When they die, they come back from their respective celestial body. There was one I read. I really liked the fanfic for other reasons, but that particular idea was interesting.
Yeah.
Because she was under mind control.
Yeah.
But she was able to break free just enough to kill herself, which released her from the mind control and let her become reborn.
There's actually a recent one that someone posted. It's posted, it was immediately marked canceled, but he just said, this has been sitting on my hard drive for years and I never wound up, or like the last year, and I have never just I just can't finish it. So there's like 4 chapters, basically this weird thing, like alicorns, when they die, if they die, which they can't die from natural causes, they're just kind of reborn in another body, but they don't have their memories until they reach their true potential, and then their memories unlock and they have it all again. And apparently Twilight's one of them.
Huh.
And so is Cadence. There's only been 6 alicorns total or something like that.
Interesting.
But
that is an interesting concept. I haven't seen it a lot.
It was canceled, so it's like, huh. But yeah, that was another thing I've seen. It's common. This debate: are they just long-lived, or are they immortal, or what?
Yeah, or are some of them long-lived?
And then,
because that's interesting.
It doesn't help that you got contradicting sources within canon. Well, it's not the show canon; it's the surrounding canon, like the books and the stuff, just seem to contradict each other. It doesn't help things.
Well, what would you like to believe? Your headcanon.
Yeah, the headcanon.
What would you want to assume?
That's always a hard one, because I think I like the kind of the immortal sort of thing. They can't die from old age. You can be killed, but I like that. It's this idea of that it can be killed, but it's like they're really, really difficult to kill. But they're tough, but they're not invincible.
Yeah.
I like that sort of thing. I like it for all 4 of them, because some part of it's just the whole drama surrounding it. Plus, yeah.
I personally kind of like the idea. Princess of Friendship and Princess of Love don't seem quite as solid as Sun and Moon.
Yeah.
So I kind of like a split there between the two, which would fit with the canon we know of born alicorns and ascended alicorns. So I kind of like the idea of there being somewhat of a difference between those two kinds, where like Celestia and Luna are.
I really don't.
Somewhat. Well, kind of. I do like yours though. They can be killed. It's just incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
But maybe a power difference.
I really still don't like that.
Cadence and Twilight will never reach that level because Celestia and Luna are essentially, sub-deities.
I really don't like that, the deification
thing. That's why I said sub. They're not deities. In fact, they aren't. You can still kill them.
Well, I just don't like that separate. I don't like separating them like that. I just don't. It doesn't feel right, because it's like, especially since the show seems to like to imply that Celestia or Twilight's now on, well, not like that, like the level, but she's like, that kind of feels like there's puts a gap between them, which I don't like, which is that, if Twilight or Cadence decide something that no Celestia or Luna can overrule them, it just kind of feels like that sort of thing is there just because of differences. We're different kinds of alicorns, so we just it just kind of tiers them, and I don't like it.
I don't know. I think it could happen, but you could also do it a little bit differently.
I just don't like the tiered thing. It just bugs me.
Because already, as it's shown, they keep Twilight out of it a little bit just because.
Well, that seems to be more along
reasons.
the lines of some of the writers just do that.
Well, they explain it through political reasons.
I just like the idea of just, yep, if Twilight decides something, it's just as good. Her word is just as good as Celestia or Luna's, or same with Cadence. I like that idea that all of them just are equal in that sense.
Do that, but I think I'm not saying political power difference.
I know, but even then, it's just like you put them on that difference of that sort of thing. It just feels like it's just gonna kind of happen naturally, where the just Cadence and Twilight would just kind of defer immediately to anything Cadence or Celestia and Luna would do, just because of that whole thing.
Well, I'm pretty sure Twilight right now would do that. Well,
not anymore.
Anyway,
I don't think so. Not anymore. I think she's kind of learned to be kind of work without Celestia's input.
Yes, but I think if Celestia were to say something, she'd immediately defer.
Not necessarily. She's argued with her before. Remember when Celestia's like, "Oh, hey, I want to reform Discord," and Twilight just straight up yelled at you, "Are you crazy?"
All right.
So I've already seen signs of Twilight being willing to kind of argue with Celestia on some concepts, because especially now at this point she's seen Celestia just been straight up wrong a couple times.
All right, I'll give you that one.
Oh, that's another thing. I like at least making them, they're not infallible. I've noticed that a lot of some people like to make them like Celestia's this really like planner who's been scheming for the last 1,000 years. But I mean, I do like her planning, but I also like her, oh crap, that's not going right.
Yeah, I like the idea that she's incredibly wise and intelligent, and
but I also don't like her
plans,
being perfect,
like a chess master.
But also sometimes
also
she does
infallible.
make mistakes. Oops, that was not the right move, was it?
Or something that she doesn't. She has crap. Something comes
like
up.
What they showed in the show, which was she fought Chrysalis 1-on-1 and lost.
Yeah.
She just thought, oh yeah, I can do this. Okay, I can't do this.
Yeah. It gives them more character.
And let's be honest, if you think about it, Sunset was also kind of a mistake in essentially. Like she just thought Sunset would. It seems to be not outright said, but it seems to be somewhat implied that Sunset was gonna be where Twilight is.
But Sunset didn't.
Yeah, but Celestia wasn't willing to see it. I mean, she also, if you think about it, could be also been a mistake, because remember the let's be honest, Sunset and Twilight's cutie marks, if you look at them, are somewhat similar in shape. In a sense.
I still kind of disagree with you on that one.
Especially if you look at the star pattern and stuff, it's just like, if you look at it, Sunset's almost like a curvier version.
I don't know. It's missing the stars on the outside.
I'm just saying, but remember the symbol from the tree did not have the outer stars. It was just the inner star. Yeah. So it's one of those, especially on a kind of carving on a crystal thing, it might be like, this is close enough. You'll do.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
It just feels like, it almost feels like that was one of Celestia's kind of mistakes in the past, and possibly also the Luna was kind of mistaken in a sense of she didn't notice that Luna was kind of having a hard time.
Yeah.
And the reason why she didn't notice Sunset was kind of not exactly going in a good direction. It just kept giving, it'll work itself out. It didn't work itself out.
It didn't work itself out. Yeah, but you pointed out another big one.
Also the cake.
The cake. So much cake. But yeah, the Luna. Celestia and Luna, and how Luna got to where she was when she turned.
Oh, that's in my moon.
Yeah. What caused that?
Yeah.
The details what caused it. We know the basics.
We know the basics. She got jealous.
Confirmed. She got jealous. But how did Celestia deal with all this during the process? Did she notice? Did she not notice? There's some of them I've seen where she did notice, but
tried and just didn't work.
Or didn't.
Hoping it would work itself out.
Or she didn't intervene. She saw it.
Or she's completely oblivious.
So it's interesting. I've seen that, she's too caught up. She sees it, but she's caught up in her own limelight that she doesn't help. Or she sees it, but she doesn't realize it's as bad as it's supposed to be. So I've seen all of those, and they're all a bit interesting.
Okay. There's one. This is a really common fan that is like, I'm surprised because it directly contradicts something in the show. This is really common though, and I'm surprised it's still going. I think it was, but in this, season 3 finale, Twilight ascended and all that stuff, and a lot of people go off on this thing of Celestia cast a spell to turn Twilight into an alicorn. When if you look at the scene, her horn's not glowing. It's just one of those.
Yeah.
I think what happened was, leading up to it, there's a lot of speculation of how Twilight became an alicorn. One of them was Celestia turns her into an alicorn, or she switched somehow because of the cutie mark swapping things. A lot of people thought Twilight would swap places with Celestia accidentally. And that wound up not being the case, but the speculation kind of carried over, even though we kind of...
The scene didn't exactly help that either, with
I watched the scene.
Celestia walking her through the whole
Yeah, but I watched the scene. Her
area.
horn does not glow, and if the magic comes out of Twilight's chest and it's purple, so that's not Celestia's doing.
Yeah.
She led her down that road, but she didn't actually cast a spell, because I know there's a lot of fics for Twilight. It's like, why did you turn me into an alicorn, or why did you cast a spell, or it's like all this stuff about casting a spell, turning ponies into alicorns. It's like, that's not how the show showed it, guys. Yeah. Guys.
I'll agree with you. It wasn't Celestia doing, but I will say, like I was saying earlier, the scene really didn't help itself with Celestia, being there, and, guess what? You're gonna be an alicorn, basically.
I was just thinking, hey, you just kind of explode in a ball of light, and now you're in a big star field. What would be your first thought?
You're dead.
Exactly. Now Celestia's there. Does it? No, you're not dead. That's why Celestia's also there for.
Question: how does Celestia know? Of course, she's an alicorn.
Because she sensed it.
She wasn't. She didn't go through that process.
No, she didn't. Well,
Celestia
according to Journal of the Two Sisters.
According to the book, Celestia never had to go through that.
Although
process.
I believe other places have implied that no, she did go through that some sort of process like that.
Which is just like, wait, but oh god,
yeah,
we're contradicting
it's one of those things.
Other.
It's just, it almost feels like writers not talking with each other.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Everyone get together and take the existing Bible that you have, and then add all your new stuff to it, please, so everyone's on the same page. That would be really, really nice.
Your Apocrypha.
The Apocrypha.
Oh god, what am I doing?
I'm
going down a dangerous road here.
No.
Anyway,
we don't
getting
need
off that now.
Need to have...
Bailing out now. But a little thing I have, this is a couple general things. One, I think Sunset is just as big of a dork as Twilight is. She just hides it better.
I think Sunset she has the same level, but she also has a lot more social skills.
Yeah, I'm just saying she's just as big of a dork. Well,
Twilight is very... Well, she's more socially inept than Sunset. Sunset has the forced social interaction.
Actually, I think Sunset still has some social ineptness in a certain sense, but she's just better at faking it.
She's better at working.
Like I said, I think Sunset's just big of a dork, as in a dork, nerd, whatever. As Twilight, she hides it better.
Yes, she just hides it better. She has better experience dealing with social situations, so she's able to work with them.
Another one I have, which this one's kind of goofy, not totally serious, but I just like the idea of Cadence having a basement full of charts and graphs and stuff of shipping. Cadence is having a basement full of that.
It makes sense. She's the princess of love.
And another thing, of course, speaking of which,
at least charts of shipping and not other things in her basement.
Yeah. And speaking related to that, Shining, I kind of have this idea, and this was never really shown in the show, but I kind of like this idea. It's like Firefly with River and Simon, which if it wasn't for Twilight, Shining could have been considered a prodigy, but Twilight was, so much higher than him that he kind of looked worse in comparison. Oh. It's one of those. If he was just him, he'd be considered like one of the most powerful unicorns in Equestria, but then his sister comes along and...
Aww.
Yeah, it's the same thing, remember?
But...
I'm the dumb child.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of interesting that you would put him as the...
I like Shining.
as the Tam.
Yeah, I know.
Because he is, if you look at the comics, he was a nerd.
Yeah.
He was a nerd, too.
Yeah, so I just like the idea of just him, I'm not sure about, intellect on this. I think he'd be, above average, but nothing particularly special intelligence-wise, but magic level... Yeah,
he did have that huge freaking bubble.
Exactly. That's why I'd say he was like that, but then his sister comes along and just dwarfs him.
Yeah. Now some other long-standing, a little bit smaller ones that are quite controversial. Is Scootaloo an orphan?
Oh, yeah, that one.
We don't have an official yes or no. The only thing right now we have to say anything
she doesn't live on the streets.
We know she's not on the street. She has a bedroom that's an actual building. We know nothing else.
It's
at all
likely that she's not an orphan, though.
It's likely not.
I mean, come on. Let's just pile on the fact she can't fly and she's got no parents. Let's just keep piling it on Scootaloo. Scootaboos.
Yeah. I know it's likely not. I still kind of like to hold on to somewhat of that idea because, Dash and Scoots. I think that's... Yeah. I just absolutely love that pairing between those two.
You might want to use the word pairing.
Pairing is not shipping pairing. How else are you supposed to use? What other term are you supposed to use?
Bond.
There you go. Okay, bond. I love that bond. Bonding. Even then that can go wrong. But, yes. I like seeing those too. So I kind of want to hold on to it, but I know it's unlikely.
Yep.
Just because it would allow for better or more scenes of those two.
Yeah.
You can also go to the fact, like almost every other Pegasus, we haven't seen Rainbow Dash's extended family. All we've seen is that one
bit with her likely
dad. What's the story with that? And it's only in a flashback from before she even had a cutie mark.
Yep.
I've seen some fan stuff where she's lost her parents.
Or a parent.
Well, there's also the fanon that her mom's Firefly from G1.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen, but I do really like that idea. I think it's really cool.
Only that's part of the reason is because this stuff's built up and they're kind of afraid of, getting screamed up by the fandom again for wrecking the headcanons.
Especially after that one, someone asked Lauren what she thought of that idea.
Oh, yeah.
And Lauren said, I think it's a neat idea.
It's
like,
crap.
oh crap.
It's like,
if they
can
do
we
something
actually
else,
do that?
But Lauren said.
Yeah, it's like that's realistically though, can they actually do that is the question.
Yeah, I don't do.
I mean,
they don't have the rights.
I mean, they already did a commander or whatever,
Yeah,
Firefly for the Wonderbolts, but it's like,
yeah.
So they can use the name in a theory, but
yeah, it's interesting. I would, of course, since it's my headcanon, I would love to see it. But I don't expect to ever actually see it in the show. It'd be really cool, though. Please, prove me wrong. I want to see it.
Yeah.
I want to see that.
Oh, and this has been a lot of speculation about what exactly was Luna up to during her 1,000-year banishment. Like, how does that work and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
The fanon of there around there. There's like two different thoughts. One, she's fully aware and all that stuff and alone for 1,000 years. And then there's the other one, which is sort of this hazy, like sleep dreamlike state, which is the one that if I recall Lauren Faust preferred, although the new upcoming Fiendship is Magic seems to be supporting the she was awake and aware during the 1,000 years. Interesting.
Yeah, that'll be definitely an interesting
which is like one of those things. So why didn't she just absolutely insane when she comes back? Of course some people say she was insane, but
I don't think she was quite as insane as
I would be like a babbling mess.
Yeah,
I think.
So what did she do up there? Did she build her own little civilization?
And that's another thing. Was like it's like is she literally on the moon or is she like in the moon? Like again, she might still be aware, but I think because we did have that comic series where they went to the moon. Yeah, I remember that, but that was that was just the nightmare thing was there. That wasn't necessarily because of her banishment, though. Yeah, but it may have given her something to do. I don't know. She might have just been kind of trapped in she aware, but kind of stuck, not able to move or anything. Yeah. It's one of those, we don't really know. And it looks like they're going to address it a little, but we shall hope and see what they have. Yeah, that's been a long-standing one that's kind of been back and forth about which one is it just seems to be down to, personal preference, but yeah, I've seen very even split on that one. Mm-hmm. Can't think of much of anything else, really. Right, at least off the top of my head. Probably after we stop recording, I'll think of like 30 things. So maybe we'll push this to another... Maybe we might come back to this topic again. I don't know. Maybe next time I'll actually write stuff down. Yeah. Imagine writing stuff down in pre-planning. But who does that? That's dumb. Yeah, that is dumb. But yeah, so we may come back to that topic. I think that's all we have to talk about for now. We might come back to that another week, but since we're approaching the end, we still have other things to talk about. Up next, I'm going to pass off to Nemesis because we have a comic. Yes, issue number 27 of the main series, another Cook-Price team up. And basically, okay, so it starts off, just they're hanging out, parents hanging out, having a picnic, whatnot. It's all since, of course, comes jumping out of the Everfree with Timberwolves on her tail. And, they help her out and stuff. And it turns out hey, look, vines from the Everfree Forest. Not black ones, though. Yeah, just green ones. Green vines. But anyway, so apparently they're attacking. They found out that they're attacking elsewhere as well. So, Twilight and her friends all go into the forest to go find out what's going on. And they encounter these deer. And it turns out, the deer are doing this because apparently there's a big old construction thing and for a theme park in the middle of that's tearing up the forest, and that's pretty much where the conflict is, and the Twilight needs to stop this construction from happening. Yeah, that's the overall thing. It's a part one of a part two issue. I think this issue is problematic. It's not as problematic yet as 25 and 26 were, but it's still got its share of issues with it. A couple of them, it's going to be more difficult to get to just because they're towards the end, and I don't want to spoil it. But some of it is just this thing of that Everfree's always supposed to be this thing of it's kind of wild and untamed, and no one lives there. But now all of a sudden we got these deer who seem to have power over it, and it's like,
yeah,
this seems a little contradictory.
A little bit.
We got another thing of, oh look, Twilight's princess status just kind of discarded.
Yeah.
You'll know it when you see it. But yeah, it just seems to be discarded. It's not as egregious as in the previous 2 issues where it was just she's sitting there making excuses for not doing something which fell flat. It's just
she tried to use.
In this one, the characters are more in character, I should say.
Yeah.
She tries and it just doesn't work for some unknown reason.
I think we might know a bit more in the next episode.
Yeah, in the next issue.
From reading that.
Another problem is I think you're supposed to be sympathizing with the deer. The problem is the deer come across as such jerks. You just hate them instead.
Yeah.
It's a problem. It's a very obvious environmentalism thing.
It seems a bit
good, but it's just the deer you want to punch them. They don't come across as sympathetic, and that's the problem.
I've seen stuff like this before, this kind of idea, and
Ferngully.
I was trying not to say Ferngully because there's a few differences in Ferngully here.
Yeah, no, but still.
But where it seems the ones we're supposed to be sympathetic towards seem really short-sighted.
Yeah,
and it's rather cliche because every time I see the story, almost every single time, it's the same problem.
Yeah,
they seem rather short-sighted.
It just seems to, part of the problem is it just seems to contradict previously established canon. And speaking of canon and stuff,
canon.
Yeah, it seems to contradict. Plus, these characters you are apparently supposed to sympathize with, it just comes across as an unlikable jerk. 2 of them actually, because there's this one deer they meet, and then there's the king of the heart of the
forest.
Yeah, this king dude, King Aspen. Yeah, they both come across as unlikable jerks, and so. It's weird because this construction site is there, which is clearing away part of the forest. Okay, that's bad. We get that. But so their reaction is, okay, let's take these vines and take over multiple towns and stuff.
Yeah, it's like
around.
This one group is affecting us, so let's take everyone else out as well.
Disproportionate retribution.
Yeah, which again is kind of cliche.
Yeah,
I've seen that happen so many times with stories like this. It's just like.
And they can't attack the construction site because of reasons.
I don't know. They said for some reason things aren't growing in there.
It's some vague thing. But anyway, this doesn't. I can't recommend it at this point. I'm going to hold off on a final judgment until the next issue. But at this point, I would say just hold off on buying this one. We'll get back to you when 28 comes out. As a further criticism, I think I figured out what the real problem is. These last few issues have kind of shown, I think. And this is the real problem with what Katie Cook has been writing. She has no idea how to handle Twilight now.
Oh.
She has no idea, and it's kind of interfering with her storytelling.
But she wasn't, I don't know.
She just feels like she has no idea how to handle her, and she's just kind of sitting here she doesn't know what to do, so she's just kind of throwing these kind of weak excuses and stuff around. And just.
Although I do kind of feel for that. I mean, giving her princess status is like, okay. How do I handle princess status? Because normally,
in a sense, but I mean,
to do something.
I mean, it seems like she's handling it correctly initially, but then the thing's like, wait a minute, hold on. You're gonna wait a minute because another character, the way they act is like that doesn't seem like a good idea. But that might speak about this character than anything. But because like in the Wild West thing they were doing last few issues, it was Twilight just immediately just did nothing for a while, and then she waited till Celestia did something, then she was willing to do something, and it's like, it just, I don't know, it just feels like Katie Cook has no idea how to handle Princess Twilight.
I don't know. Possibly. I will say one good thing, though. The imagery was pretty darn nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
The imagery was
Andy Price
really
usually
nice.
does really good stuff here, so, in that case, but, I don't know, it feels almost like Cook and Price do better when it's just the Friends Forever type stuff. Like, they did a fantastic job with that Applejack Rarity comic.
Oh, that was amazing. Which they referenced in this, by the way.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job with that comic. But it's like when it now seems like they're kind of struggling with how
to deal with
Twilight and just the bigger issue, more action adventure type stuff in general. It just feels like they're struggling now. They don't know what to do.
Yeah, I can see that. I'll give it to
So
you.
I'm going to say, for now, pass on it. And final judgment will be in, I guess, a couple weeks when the next issue comes out.
We'll see if it makes up for its shortcomings.
Yeah, because right now it's like I said, it's not as egregious as 25 and 26, but it's still in its own pretty not great.
I don't think it's quite as bad, but
Like I said, it's not as egregious, but it still has its significant problems.
That's the comic. So last bit of stuff we have is fan content. So I will start this off. I have 3 more songs for you this week, and I'll get right into that. The first song is Dive by And I, featuring Giggly Maria.
I do not worry, I'm never in a hurry. The past is so far, just fine, I'll take it or risk it. The time that you spend locked up with decisions has ended more than aided. I'll free you. Don't need a thing, fun is unknown. I'm never alone, I've got you. Don't need a map, the fun's adventure. And all I've risked, yeah, dive in.
It's a bit long, about 6 minutes long. It's a nice vocal electronic song, nice and upbeat. It's about daring do. So it's not, you don't get a huge amount of daring do stuff.
Yeah.
So I thought it was pretty good. Like I said, upbeat and pretty easy to listen to. So I recommend it.
Yeah. I don't know. This one, I think there's a couple times it just kind of felt too long for its own good. I think I've left this criticism a lot now.
You have been using that criticism a lot.
But it does.
I'll
But
agree with you a
yeah,
little bit,
well,
though.
it's not exactly like people. Well, if you want me to stop using this criticism, stop making songs that are too long. But it just feels a couple times. It just feels like it goes a little too long. I almost actually forgot until my second listen that there was actually vocals.
Yes, I will
forgot.
say that. It is fairly mellow, even though it's upbeat. The vocals are a little bit lighter than the rest of the music, I would say. You sometimes lose it. It's still really nice to listen to, though. It's just not perfect.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it.
That's fine. My next one is Battle by Taps.
And you and me, why don't we see who is better? We don't have to be one in the same thing. Oh, what's so wrong with a little competition? Are you afraid of failing the audition?
This is a remix of Rainbow Rock's song. This is the first time I've got to feature Rainbow Rock's remix. Yay. But if you've listened to Tap stuff before, you'll know what to expect. Nice, heavy-hitting bass. And that's pretty its most notable feature.
Yeah, I think this is just like the song, the This Day aria back in Candlelight Wedding. It's like the songs from Rainbow Rocks, the fandom has kind of been struggling with how to remix it very well.
Yeah.
I've noticed even musicians have been like, how come no one's been touching Rainbow Rock stuff?
I've been
Because
seeing a
I
whole
think
bunch
they're
of
just
it, but
struggling.
most of it is either straight covers or kind of subpar.
Yeah. It's
Or they
no
just
one's,
don't really change it up enough. So it's like, it's still the original song. But this one I really did enjoy.
Yeah, this one was but this one was it was good for what it was, I think. I don't think
it's what you would expect.
I don't
from
think
Taps,
yeah,
though.
don't
Something.
it blew me away, but it's fine.
The last one I have is a bit different. It is Destructionism by Pony, or Violet Pony as he goes by. It's an instrumental, so we'll go the standard, is it pony related, is it not, but I'm going to say it is. It's Violet's take on Flutterex's kind of work, that kind of dark, low tones that he used to do all the time, kind of creepy.
Sounds kind of industrial at times.
Yeah, it's that low
It's industrial,
creepy kind of. It's hard to really put it into a.
Even the cover art's kind of creepy.
Oh yes, it's meant to be creepy, but yes, it has that kind of feel. So if that's what you're into, there you go.
Yeah, it is dark and creepy sounding. What it reminded me of was actually, if any of you have played Limbo, that bit towards the end, in particular with the saws and stuff, it's very industrial sounding. I mean, that's the one sound. It literally sounded like a revving 2-stroke engine, and the chainsaw. That's what it sounded like. And when you listen, you'll see what I mean, hear what I mean. But yeah, it's very dark and creepy. I kind of like it for that. So yeah, I think that one makes because it's different like that. It makes it really stand out for me. So
I think he did a very good job emulating Flutter X's style. So yeah, there you go.
I know nothing about that.
That's what I have for music. I will pass it back to Nemesis because he has some fan fiction things, sort of.
Yeah, I don't have a new one again, but I do have updates this time. Hey, there's updates.
Yay, updates.
Yeah, so first off, Apple Bloom Transform and Rollout. It has gotten another chapter, and this one deals with the fallout after the last chapter, which, well, arrests all around. This one deals with that, and it actually deals with it's the weird thing is not much actually happens per se, but it does deal with some things. And oddly enough, the author also kind of apologizes at the end because he has a comedy tag on the story. And he's noticing he's kind of getting a little dark for a comedy tag, so he's starting to consider removing the comedy tag because it's not really comedic. He says though what he's going to try to do instead, he's going to have a more comedy focused set of one shots for this in this universe with Apple Bloom just being a transformer in a.
That's a good idea. Instead of trying to force comedy into it.
Yeah, because he noticed it was gotten a lot darker than he intended to get. So, but sometimes that happens when you're writing.
Sometimes that happens.
But yeah, it's still really good, I think. And it not, like I said, not much actually happens, but it does feel like it's setting up for the next big thing.
So it's like a bridge episode.
A bridge
issue between two things.
The other one that updated was Twilight Falls and Sunset Dawns, and that's another chapter. And this one, it's really obvious. I think at this point we're getting really close to the end. I'm not sure unless we're going to get one of those fake climaxes that some people like to throw at people. But it's trying to feel close to the end. At this point, Twilight's escaped. She's in Sunset's body. She's gone back to Ponyville, and she's trying to, get her own body back and everything. But she also is feeling very sympathetic towards Sunset because of what she's learned. And also Sunset is now starting to really learn that Twilight was right again. So, yeah, it's going to that point. And, yeah, it feels like we're getting close to an actual conclusion. So, probably going to end within the next few chapters. And another update, this isn't a story update per se, but Long Road to Friendship, the Sunlight fic I featured
one of the many.
Yeah. This one, the author has announced it's officially on hiatus until he finishes his other story, because according to him, he has been neglecting that story and it's been around longer. So he's gonna try to finish that story and then move back over to Long Road to Friendship. So don't expect any updates for a while on that one, unfortunately. But apparently, I think his other story is good too. I just haven't. I'll probably be talking about it when it gets finished.
And that's it for fan content.
Yep.
That brings us to the end of our episode. So, if you liked what you heard and you want to hear more, you can find all of our episodes. They're up at pony411.libsyn.com. That's LIBSYN. You can also find us on iTunes. Just search for Pony411. You can subscribe and have it auto-download and all that sort of fun stuff. You can also find us on Stitcher, Stitcher.com. Use the app. Just search for us. Find us there. If you don't want to download anything, you can also find us on YouTube, youtube.com/pony411. Subscribe to us there, leave comments or whatnot. You can also listen to us on Ponyville FM every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. So tune in, listen to us there. If you would like to get a hold of us, send us comments, criticisms, or fanon that we missed that you want us to talk about, or something else you want us to talk about, like news or whatever, you can email us. We are pony411podcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter. We're at pony411. So follow us there and listen to us tweet and talk about the Seahawks or whatever we happen to do. You can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/pony411. We post whenever we upload a new episode there. You can like us or whatnot. You can also contact us individually on Twitter. I am at Alca7raz_ with a 7 instead of a T, and he is at Nemesis Prime 1. So go ahead and follow us and listen to us tweet whenever we actually do. And tweet us. We will respond, hopefully. So yeah.
Unless you're a bot.
Unless you're a bot. Well, even then. Most of the time we won't, though. Unless we're a funny bot. Hope you'll tune in next week. We'll figure out what we're doing.
I know exactly what we're doing.
I know what we're doing. Fit with
I jumped the gun last week.
Yeah, you jumped a little bit.
It's fine,
So it'll fit with the time period. We'll just say that.
Gee, I wonder what it is.
No idea. Until that time, please pony responsibly. Into merchandise news, the Nisi AJ and Rarity plushies, including keychain size ones.
Keychain?
Let me try that one again.
The other one that's... oh, God.
You want to try that again?
Yes.